Yo, what is up, internet Destiny community? Digirex here, and today I'm coming at you with a brand new Destiny 2 video. And I like to do these videos whenever a new season comes out, whenever new activities come out. I like to create an optimal loadout for you guys, or I like to suggest what guns, subclasses, grenades, whatever you need. I'm here to equip you with the proper weapons needed to do the killing. So I did a video like this for Menagerie, and I've done videos like this for raids in the past, and as soon as I get to the new raid, I will do a video making a loadout that is optimal for the new raid also. Although I have not quite gotten to that, I haven't really had too much of a chance to play, or not too, I mean, I've been playing SHADOWKEEP and Season of Undying. I just haven't had as much chance as I wanted. I've been focused on a little bit of other games, a lot of schoolwork, stuff like that, but I'm here to show you some gameplay of the Vex Offensive, which I'm sure you've seen. Vex Invasions, Vex Offensive, I'm probably going to mix it up throughout the whole video because they are practically the same thing. Although the new Vex Offensive is the new activity, and it is pretty dope, might I add. You can get some cool weapons, and I will be making a video about the pulse rifle. I believe that is going to be coming out either tomorrow or the next day, because the pulse rifle is looking kind of cool to me. Looks like the stranger's rifle. This is all besides the point, though. I'm here to equip you with the best firepower. And yeah, spoiler alert, it's going to be pretty similar to my Menagerie video, as the PvE meta has changed. But not too much. There is going to be different stuff, so keep watching the video. Don't click off. And I'm just going to start us off. I think, honestly, grenade launchers are still crazy. Even without the auto reload, you can still get faster reloads from your rally barricades and lunafaction boots. So don't totally count grenade launchers out just because there's no auto reload. They still do a shit ton of damage, especially now that you have weapons of light, which we will be getting into subclasses later in the video, but right now I'm going to be talking about weapons. So honestly, I would suggest Mountaintop. Mountaintop is still insane for taking out some of those bigger minotaurs and dealing damage to bosses. If you have a really good Malicious Birthright, like I prefer almost using my Malicious Birthright that has Ambitious Assassin on it to my Mountaintop, just because my Malicious Birthright can get 2 in a mag if I kill enemies with it, which is really fun. Even though it's not Mountaintop just firing in a straight line, having 2 in a mag in a special grenade launcher, that is also in my primary slot like Mountaintop. It makes it hard for me to put on Mountaintop sometimes, just because that Malicious Birthright has that extra perk. So if you have like a God roll Malicious Birthright, like Master, Reload Masterwork, Ambitious Assassin is pretty much a God roll. So if you have something like that, oh, and of course Spike Grenades, if you have a Malicious Birthright like that, then I would almost put it on over Mountaintop, but I will always recommend Mountaintop, since Mountaintop is pretty much, now I think it is easier to obtain than your God roll Malicious Birthright. Both are very good though. I would also recommend using the Recluse if you have it. The Recluse is absolutely still amazing, and I would recommend putting barrier mods on the Recluse, just because you're going to have a lot of enemies with barriers in this specific activity. I put it on the hand cannon I'm using, although on the Recluse, I mean, it's going to do the same thing. I don't even know if you can put it on the Mountaintop. I don't believe you can, so I would definitely recommend putting those barrier mods on the Recluse, or any other kinetic weapon you are using. Hand cannons like Midnight Coup, or really any hand cannons with Outlaw. I'm using the new Vex hand cannon that comes from the invasion. I completely forget what it's called, but it's got Outlaw, and I was having a good time with it. I was just messing around with it. Wanted to use something a little bit different for the video, which I know is kind of weird, but I've used Recluse in so many of my videos, and I needed some variety in the guns I was showing you guys in the gameplay. But it does have Outlaw, and that is what I'm suggesting to you. Midnight Coup obviously is really good, but you can't use Mountaintop with it. So, I mean, yeah, it's like the best PvE hand cannon, but you don't get to use Mountaintop, so take that as you will. It's a trade-off. It is definitely a trade-off indeed. Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend auto rifles. They got a buff to PvE damage, but it's still really, they're just lackluster. The auto rifles needed a little bit more in my opinion. The buff that they got was good, and you can get a potentially decent auto rifle for PvP something like Rampage and Outlaw is obviously always good, but like a Rampage Outlaw hand cannon is just going to be better than a Rampage Outlaw auto rifle in my opinion, which is unfortunate, but take that as you will. For heavy, I would still go with a grenade launcher. So you've got the Iron Banner one, which is really good with spike grenades. You've also got Prospector. If you're not using an exotic slot, which I haven't recommended an exotic yet, so you better not be using an exotic slot. Prospector still absolutely rips higher leveled enemies apart. In this one, I'm using a PvP or PvE oriented play of the game. It's got spike grenades and stuff like that. Spike grenades on an edge transit is even good. And of course, you have the Wendigo from last season. The Wendigo is still pretty beastly. But if you don't have the Wendigo, if you weren't up for that grind, I believe they made the grind a little less now, so you probably should have it if you're a real gamer. If you have the Wendigo, definitely use that over any other legendary grenade launcher. But if your exotic slot is open, Prospector is amazing. If you have 1K voices, obviously that is always really, really nice. Anarchy, I did not get a chance to test, but I assume Anarchy is still really nice too. So, one more thing I want to recommend is, it might seem a little bit weird to you guys, but I'm going to do a video on it pretty soon. Trinity Ghoul. Now this thing, bows got buffed with damage, so you don't really have to charge this thing up very much because it is a higher impact bow, and the exotic perk is really nice in PvE with that chaining lightning. You call in a little lightning storm, and you guys might be surprised. I would recommend trying out Trinity Ghoul for some of your PvE modes. Maybe run Mountaintop or Malicious Birthright and Trinity Ghoul, and then Wendigo. I think that might be a good setup. You're using the bow, you're using the arrows and the grenades. No bullet loadout. That is what I like to see. I would honestly say snipers are not preferred, and shotguns are okay. I would still not prefer shotgun, but they are slightly better because you got a lot of Minotaurs running at you in this Vex offensive. So yeah, because of just the excess amount of bulkier enemies sprinting at you, that could make shotguns useful. Although sniper rifles, they just aren't as good in that close range scenario, and most of the times you'll be getting flinched by a lot of ads or even the boss himself when you're trying to do damage. And it is Vex, so sometimes that crit point can be a little bit tricky to hit compared to other bosses, especially when you're flinching around like crazy with the sniper rifle. So I would not really recommend anything like Whisper or Darcy or anything like that, just because of the flinch, hard to hit that crit spot. Maybe I'm just a pleb, I don't know. I just don't think sniper rifles are the best for the Vex offensive. So when we're talking about subclasses, there are subclasses that I will always recommend to you. One of which being, if you're a hunter, I will always recommend Night Stalker and Orpheus Rig. This setup has just been iconic since Vanilla D2. It's just been so damn good, and it continues to be good just because the Orpheus Rigs, they obviously got nerfed, but they are still powerful, especially when you're dealing with the amount of ads that you are in this game. I mean, ads are just, they're just pouring out of every hole, man. They're just coming from everywhere. And if you can get a good tether off right when they all spawn in, bro, you will be genning so many orbs for your teammates, and I mean, it'll be crazy. You'll be getting tethers like a madman. So with Warlock, I'm obviously going to recommend Well of Radiance. Obviously got nerfed, but it is still good and still acts as sort of a bubble. And Lunafaction Boots, once again, got nerfed. A lot of stuff got nerfed in this season because obviously we all know Guardians were getting a little bit too OP, stuff was getting a little bit too easy, so I'm really glad that Bungie reeled in a few things. But listen, Luna is still good. Luna is still really, really nice with the well. So do that, Warlocks. Or, like I said, the absurd amount of ads that spawn in certain parts of this, you could definitely use Storm Trance, as you could clear ads with this. And then I believe the new exotic for Warlocks, every enemy you kill with Storm Trance, your Storm Trance does more damage. So, I mean, absurd amount of ads. You kill an absurd amount of ads, and then you go to a more powerful enemy. Hey man, that sounds pretty nice to me, to be honest with you. So yeah, that new exotic for the Warlocks. Forget what it's called because I'm not playing really much Warlock this season. And yeah, Storm Trance. And for your Titan, obviously, Bubble Helm, Saint 14. Bubbles are absolutely insane because you get weapons of light when you step inside of them. You get armor. And of course, if you have Helm of Saint 14, no enemy can really touch you inside your bubble, because you get that blinding effect on them. And yeah, we're not going to acknowledge that burp. I also found that because so many Titans are running bubble, there might be an excess amount of bubbles. So in this gameplay here, I'm running Sunbreaker. Hollow Fire Heart is always a winner for Sunbreaker. You get your abilities back really quick, stuff like that, which is super useful. Or those new boots. I'm sorry, I forget what they're called, but they're like the one piece of Titan exotic armor that was added in this DLC. They're boots that make your sunspots do more damage or last longer. It's something with your sunspots, which is the tree I'm using in this gameplay. And the sunspots are actually really good. They make your super last really long. You can throw hammers really fast. Overall, just a winner in my book. So guys, those are the loadouts I would suggest for the new Vex Offensive mode. Overall, this is a really fun mode. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. It's just fun to move through these epic settings, just killing Vex. I don't know. I don't think it's as good as the Menagerie. The Menagerie was one of the best little Destiny activities they've added besides a raid. So, I don't know. It's good. It's fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you. We are so close to 1,000 subs, which has been my goal for a long-ass time. So if you if you could subscribe, that would mean a great deal to me. We are almost there. Our little Destiny and other video games, little variety community, little Destiny and variety, little communities coming together. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This has been Digrex. Peace.
Somebody rolling, boulevard dining, making it count for efforts I can't explain. Balling and feeling we drowning, never been humbled by playing the fighter.